What is up, everyone? It's Gage here, and today we got special guest Precious, who is a traveler and is very new to the autism community and has been on this journey for the past year and a half. And I'm really excited to have her and her be a part of the community.
Hello, everyone. My name is Precious, and as he said, I am newer to the autism community, but I have been autistic my whole life. I just didn't know it, and I was telling Gage it's weird because when you find out that you're autistic, it's like everything in your life finally makes sense. All the things that I kind of unconsciously hated myself for it kind of went away once I found out I was autistic, because growing up in a society that is basically more like neurotypical, but being autistic and not knowing, you just kind of assume that something's something must be wrong with me. I must be dumb or something, because I didn't understand why all the people around me were doing so well, especially in the physical, and I wasn't. Because when I think of it, I know I'm intelligent, I know who I am, and I know that I'm a wonderful person. But why was it so hard for me to live like everyone else? Why are all these people who I know doing so much better when I try just as hard? And when I finally got diagnosed, I realized that nothing was wrong with me. I wasn't dumb. I was just trying to fit into a world that wasn't made for me. And now I'm able to love myself even more and understand that there is a world for me, and it's over here. And I'm able to actually thrive in that world instead of trying to fit in a world that just didn't suit who I am.
I love that, and a lot of people struggle with this, especially those in the autism community, because there isn't a lot of awareness, and they're still learning about autism. Like when I was in school in special needs, it was a very bunched up. Like there's some on the higher spectrum, some on the lower. So they would have us sometimes go to regular classes, like two or three, and then like 2 days a week we do like job sites, work at like clean, clean up like laundromats or the cafeteria, and objective mind, they thought this was a positive thing, which it did have some positive things, but also it has very negative things, which led to a lot of people getting bullied because in the Jew classes they're walking like, oh, look at them, they're cleaning our cafeteria tables, and
Hmm.
it can create a lot of pain for those and a hard journey for them in school, which should be a time where you should really enjoy yourself and express yourself.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I was in a smaller school, so we didn't really have anyone in the school that people knew was autistic. And me growing up not knowing I was autistic, I just noticed, with you talking about the bullying, I would definitely still get bullied, but not in the way that a lot of people say, especially being a woman. But I don't know, not knowing that I was autistic in school, people, they knew something was just different about me, but no one could put a name to it. So I was just kind of outcasted in a certain way, and I was kind of the person that people just wanted to make fun of, and it was really sad, because I was doing what everyone's trying to do. I was just trying to connect. I was just trying to be understood. But not knowing that I was autistic, I was overstimulated a lot. And by being overstimulated, I would sit there and there's, 30 people in the classroom, and me also being empathetic, an empath, I felt all their energies, and I would sit there and I would be so confused, because I would feel this person, this person, this person, this person, and not knowing much about who I was or anything. I didn't know that I could tune within myself. So me just feeling all those energies, I just was so overwhelmed that I would just sit there and I wouldn't really speak to many people. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know how to speak to people, to be honest, unless someone was speaking to me. I'm not going to lie. I've never told like anyone really this, but I would hide in the bathroom sometimes after lunch because I didn't know how to talk to people. I just didn't. And if you knew me personally or anyone that's known me for the last like 8 years, they would laugh if I said that because now I won't shut up. And I tell my fiance, I was like, hey, I didn't talk for like, 15, 16 years. I got a lot of talking to do. But it was until that I actually realized something so simple that it changed my life. And it's like not knowing I was autistic, like I wasn't taught this. And most people, maybe even who are autistic, weren't taught this. Like I wasn't taught to tune into myself. I didn't know that that was something I needed to do. It wasn't until I found the festival community and I started playing with flow props, which I don't know if anyone knows like fire dancers from like Hawaii. If you see them like spinning fire, like little balls of fire, that's the prop that I was playing with. And that was the first time that I actually stopped being outside myself and put my consciousness, my awareness inside me. And when I did that, I realized how beautiful I was. I used to hate myself internally, externally, everything. I used to look at other people and be like, wow, I wish I could be them. Look how cool they are. Like, especially at these events, I'd see people dancing and being free. And I just, I didn't know how to do that. So I would tell myself, oh, I don't want that. Oh, I don't need friends. I don't like people. I would make up all these things in my head because I was hurting and I didn't want myself to feel that pain. So it's like, oh, I don't want to dance. I don't like dancing. Like all this stuff I just made up to protect myself. And until I realized that I needed to stop, breathe, and look within and see what I was inside, like until I realized that I was not a human being, like I just wasn't. I was just I called myself a robot. But that's my personal experience. Not everyone has the same.
From what I've listened to, there is different experiences and perspectives, but it seems like I've been here. What the pattern is a lot of people feel like weird. They feel like the weird one out. And they feel like they really can't be themselves. And a lot of people I've talked to that are autistic, they've had like when they're younger, they usually didn't like themselves because of the judgments that they would give and not being as free as everyone else because they weren't free to be themselves. And when they were themselves, they were heavily judged. So they masked, to kind of fit in. And it's very hard. Like once you get older, it's a process to unmask and really be yourself. I was one that was like, man, it must be awesome to, to work out and do like the simple things. And I was like, man, I wish I was normal, and it really you shouldn't have to feel that way. And that's why I'm glad we're here talking about these stories because it can bring awareness to people like parents and people that are autistic or parents that have autistic children that they're able to like support them through these difficult times.
Yeah, I agree because if my family knew I was autistic and was able to have the information that they knew that would help me, I feel I would have been thriving in a lot more ways than I was. You were talking about masking, and it's like I seen something online about this, and it just I like rolled my eyes because it happened to me too. My autistic traits as a child were looked down upon from everyone. One example is like, I'm going to say something and no, like, I'm not upset with my family members for doing this because they didn't know any better. But when I was a kid, and I am autistic and also have ADHD, I would stim. I move. You're gonna see me moving a lot. Like I got all this energy. Okay, don't be jealous, but I just moved a lot, and my leg, I would shake it a lot. And I remember someone, one of my family members that I looked up to, was mad one day, and this person likes looking good. You know what I'm saying? They like to be presentable. And they told me, hey, Precious, stop shaking. You look like a freak. And that stuck with me way more than it should have. And I don't know why. But from that point forward, I stopped shaking. I stopped shaking my leg. And I said, oh, what I am doing that helps me alleviate some of the like excess energy that I have makes my family member feel like we're looking like a freak. So that plus a few other examples and such got me to realize, okay, who I am is a freak. Okay. Okay, well, I'm a freak. That's not a good name back in the day. Now everyone's like, oh, freak flag fly, like, but back then it wasn't a good thing. So
Yeah.
I said, okay, then I won't be a freak. I'm going to be good. I'm going to sit here and I'm not going to move. And I tried my best to sit there and to not move. And I tried to do all these things that what other people did. So I sat there and I looked around and I said, okay, that person, I'm talking to someone at a table, that person's only moved their hands 2 times in the last 30 minutes. I've moved my hands 14 times. Okay, that's not right. Stop moving your hands. Put your hands down. And I slowly built this like persona. Okay, the girl on TV, she is acting all dumb and bubbly. Okay, well, all the people in there, they love her. Look at her. She has all these friends and everyone's talking to her. Okay, I'm going to act dumb and bubbly because I was told who I wasn't enough. So I had to look around me. And unfortunately, I watched a lot of dumb TV as a kid. So I put on this like persona of what I assumed as a child, as an ignorant child. I didn't know any better. That's what someone wants. Someone wants someone that like is that. So then for many years, I was this robot of a person that didn't even like themselves, and I'm very glad to have unmasked. And as you said, it is a process, but if people understood autism, like if you have an autistic child, like you really need to figure out what you can do to make them feel understood and accepted for who they are, because it's way easier to just like have them not put this huge mask on than for them to, when they get older, to rip it apart,
Yeah, I agree. And you said all of that. It's a long process. And it can be very difficult. And there's people that are still going through that process. I've met a lot of people that are autistic but are having a lot of trouble like unmasking because it's been with them for so long, for so many years. And I'm grateful to have people on and to spread awareness on that, and because this is a new era, and I can see the changes in the awareness that's coming out, and a lot of people that are autistic are now like speaking up and are talking on like podcasts or their social medias, and I love it, and because we need more voices that are speaking from the perspective like, okay, this is not okay, and this actually has affected us pretty greatly in our lives.
I am very glad to be a part of this and for this to start to like open up. We said before, like in like the days of our parents and such, mental like health, it just wasn't really like a thing that people focused on. Obviously, when someone was like far, like really far into like mental health, where it was like physically obvious, yes, people would be like, oh, they have their special needs and stuff. But what about the people who look like me and you, who just we can talk efficiently, we can do all these normal things, the people who have like less low support needs? What about us? We're overlooked and we're still struggling, and it's hard to live in a society where it's meant for people that are different than us, you know? And it's like, we need a community. We need to have this so that we can connect and better figure out how we all can support each other and can live the best way that we can, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. And a lot of people that they're like, oh, you don't look autistic, you don't talk autistic. It's not really a look, and a lot of people I've talked to, they get tired of being asked that, and it's
Yeah.
something they need right now. Like, this might be a little bit out of the blue, but there's organizations like Autism Speaks are more about like the look of like getting a cure for autism, and they put the money, like the money you donate to Autism Speaks, the majority of that's going to research and all that. Really, their main mission is just to get a cure for autism instead of like really getting resources. Like, okay, let's help them because we have a low rate of employment for the autistic community, and they should. That's really what it should be going towards. Like, how can we support these people that are autistic?
That's weird. I never even like considered that. Like, because, oh, let's have a cure for autism. It's like, yes, I understand that like there's the spectrum and people who are nonverbal and like that are on the more high support needs of the spectrum. I understand like in like why they would want like a way to like alleviate that. But the people that are on the low support needs, if someone right now came up to me and said, hey, take this pill and you won't be autistic, I would throw that pill away because the amount of the spectrum that I am, that like with my autism, I know it is hard and I know that it makes my life harder, but I also think of things that a lot of people would never be able to. The way my brain works, and I'm assuming your brain works, I believe it's magic. Like, I wouldn't take this part of like me away because there is the downfalls, but the upside of it, I love who I am. I love how I analyze the world. I love it. You know what I'm saying? I do wish that I could have support with some of the things that I need help with. I do. But like the good of it, like I don't know. And like if you think about it, okay, I'm gonna try to say this correctly. A long time ago, did you know that they were trying to do research to stop, like they were trying to do research to like stop autism in a certain way, like before the babies were born. I'm like not saying this correctly, but let's just get the point of it, not the actual details. And it's like, if we did that, if we could like take the whatever gene out so that people weren't this way, it's like, you know how much we would lose, like, because there have been so many autistic people who have done magic, done crazy things that they wouldn't have been able to do if their brain wasn't this way. Like, autism is not like just a disease. Like I think you said the gift of autism. You said that we have the gift of autism. It is a gift. It is. If we can find a way that we are supported in all the ways that we need, we could do so much for the world with how our brain is. That like this is the brain, not just me, but like this is the brain that we need that might be able to help change the world, because the way that we've been living our life, like our world and our society, is broken. It's sick. We need something different. And I believe like this might be it. Like me and my friends joke, I have a few who are autistic, and I was like, how can we save the world? I was like, honestly, if everyone was just autistic, the world would be a way better place. And then we were joking. We're like, let's just make a bunch of autistic babies, like as a joke. But like seriously, like that would make the world a kinder place. Like if people know, most autistic people, I'm not saying everyone, just care like deeply in their soul. Like there's just something that's like special about it. It's not something that I'd want taken away.
100%. No, like all to like you said, if they gave me a pill, I'd be like, get that shit out of here. No, like autism is a big part of who I am, and I wouldn't be me without it. And there's a lot of great people that were autistic that made are currently and have made great changes in the world, like Albert Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Elon Musk right now, and Gerda. I hope I say her last name right, but Frendenberg. She's a famous environmental activist.
Mm-hmm.
And she continued doing that mission. And what they have is, I believe autism is a gift. And I think of it like Superman. Like he has kryptonite. So there is a downfall, but what you get from it exceeds all of the negativity that might come from it.
Yeah, I don't know. There's I'm gonna butcher this, but there's like this old saying that talks about when something along the lines of like, when the world is dying and all the fish are dying from the sea, there's gonna be a group of people who come and make the world green again. And I think some of these people they are autistic. I believe it has something to do like with that. I believe we're here for a reason. I think we're in a huge time of change. The way that we are living in this world is not sustainable to Mother Nature, to our earth. It's not. And it's like we need people like us who are like gonna try to do something different. Like we need something different. We can't keep going on the way that we've been going on. We're literally killing ourselves. We're making ourselves sick, and we're killing our world. And it's like there has to be change. And it seems to me that most the people that I know who are autistic or on the spectrum, or as I said earlier, neurospicy, in any manner, are the people that like are wanting change, and are wanting to do something to change it. It seems that like a lot of the people who are neurotypical, they don't have these, they have struggles. Everyone struggles. Life's hard. I get it. But they don't have these certain struggles in their day to day life just to be a person. But those struggles, they humble you. They teach you things that you won't be able to learn in school. Like, so it's like I feel that these struggles that we go through, and like the way that our mind is set up, is what makes us as genuine and such. You know what I'm saying? And just saying, if everyone just spoke factually and didn't lie to each other, that'd be pretty cool too. You know what I'm saying? I always like I always hear like the joke where people are like, "Oh, autistic people, they don't communicate efficiently." And I was like, "Really?" Cuz I communicate in a very factual manner exactly what I'm saying. You guys are the ones that are saying things trying to make me guess what you're meaning. Like
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, oh, like you're gullible or you don't like. I'm like, guys, like I take shit seriously sometimes. Like
you
when
lie
you,
to me. I assume everything people says is just the truth. Am I gullible or are you lying to me? Like it's so funny now that we're speaking about that. We're literally speaking a different language than neurotypical people. And that right there has been one of the hardest parts of being autistic, because one of my deepest traumas is not being understood. And I didn't know why until I was autistic, why I was so misunderstood. It's like I would say something or like post something really deep online, and when I talk or write paragraphs online, I don't speak in sentences because I've been misunderstood my whole life. That I learned the only way that I possibly believe that I can be understood is if I speak in a paragraph form that explains every part of what I'm trying to say in hopes to be understood. And then I would get people still thinking I'm saying something completely different. And like that's been some of the reasons I've or like me and partners have ended relationships, ended friendships, is just because it's hard to speak a different language, but everyone thinks that we're speaking the same language. You know what I'm saying? Like it makes a lot of conflict. For me at least, has made a lot of conflict in my life.
yeah, yeah. I had relationships that ended. Like one that was kind of serious, but they couldn't fully understand some parts of me, and it created like kind of a rift. And sometimes it doesn't work out. And And even sometimes they don't really get it, even if I explain it like, hey, this is kind of how my brain works. And sometimes it's just, they just don't get it, because they never experienced it or been in that realm, because there's a different level of thinking.
It definitely is, and now that I know, I'm autistic. Me and my fiance, we because he's he believes he's on the spectrum, but never got like diagnosed, and but his is different than mine. We he speaks more neurotypical than I do, and we have to figure out how to have a common language because like he'll say something like like some we were talking about like something like silly about like vegans and non-vegans, and he's like, oh, I think that all meat eaters are stronger than vegans. And in my mind, I'm like all oh, and I'm like that's just not like there's like that's not true because there's a small percentage of vegans who do eat correctly that are able to be stronger than like the part of people who eat meat who don't eat right. So in my mind, I was like, that's not true. And we got into like a little like argument about it. And it comes down to he was like, no, I meant like most people who eat meat are probably stronger than people who are vegans because vegans don't, a lot of people who are vegans don't look into veganism enough to be able to learn how to supplement the nutrients that they need. And he's like, any person would know that. And I looked at him and I said, that's not what you said. Like, we just had this 20-minute disagreement about something because for no reason. We're both saying the same thing, and it's so weird like that I say like I don't know, the disconnect of it is so weird. Or like another example was I was talking to someone who lives near the ocean recently, and I said, oh, send me a picture of the ocean, like I just want to see it, or a video. And I'm like, yeah, coming home is really hard. It's like it's not a good area, it's a poor community, there's not many beauty. And he's like, oh really, my home is here and I love it. And I just said something along the lines of, I was like, oh, good for you, blah 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 blah. And he's like, hey, I didn't mean to offend you, I was just like telling you something. And I said, what? No, I said, I'm autistic. I love being able to say that so people understand me. I'm autistic. And when I say good for you, I truly meant I'm happy for you. Like, I'm truly happy that you love where your home is. I didn't mean, I don't know. I don't know what you thought I meant. It's so confusing.
It's different language, and you're like that's why, like, when I'm texting people, because you can't really express it too well, I'm like, guys, I am not meaning to, like, sound mean or anything like that. I'm just being straightforward.
Yeah. It's nice now that I know that I'm autistic because now I like am able to like be like it's easier to explain why my whole life has been slightly more difficult than I see a lot of other people's life. You know what I'm saying? And it just truly makes me like just understand myself a lot better. So I'm very happy to have discovered this. It's probably been one of the best things that I've like ever got to find out about myself in life.
And I bet it's like an exciting adventure, and journey. It's like, oh man, like there is so much to be learned about autism and things that you can implement in your life through the information. Like for me, I've been learning from other people that have specialized in autism, like Teresa Haskins, and so many of these people in the autism organization, or autism community. And it's like, well, there's so much to be learned about it and how I can implement it in my life, to better use this gift I have.
Yeah, and to better be able to support myself, like little things like I didn't know that other people like that certain noises didn't physically hurt other people. I didn't know that. I thought like, when you're at a store and you have the hangers and you just like move the hanger like on the metal rack, that noise hurts my teeth. It physically hurts me where it's like I can't do it. I didn't know that wasn't normal. So my whole life I was just like twitching a little bit every time I went shopping. But now that I know this, I'm like, oh, why didn't I think of just getting some type of headphone, noise canceling headphones that would support me, and I would be able to like, be like fine. You know what I'm saying? Or even like, one of the things that a lot of people, especially like when you talk about autism, like online, and everyone's like talking about, like, I don't know, right now autism, like in a certain way, it's like a trend, and a lot of people like they like see it like love on the spectrum. They only show like the good parts of it, but like they don't talk about like the meltdowns. They don't talk about like, that type of part of it. And I had meltdowns my whole life. And when I was a kid, I just got told I was having a temper tantrum, and they would just throw me in a room and be like, okay, deal with it yourself. And like, as I got older, I still had them, but I hid them from everyone usually, but my like partner that I was with. And I didn't know what that was. I honestly just thought I was crazy. I said, something's just wrong with you. And it's like, now that I'm able to know what that is, I'm able to do research on it, and I'm able to better understand what is happening. And it's easier for me to understand the triggers of like how certain things will trigger me. It's usually overstimulation and not being understood, which I talked about earlier. Two of the like traumas that I have still with me is to not be understood. And when that happens, I literally like, I go into this crazy meltdown where I can't breathe, I can't control myself. But now that I know, me and my fiance were able to get the meltdowns to a more of a minimum. And instead of them lasting an hour long, we found ways for me to be able to have them shorter. You know what I'm saying? Like before, my exes would see me going into a meltdown and they would think that I was just like having a temper tantrum, and that like I was just doing it on purpose to get like sympathy. And I could see that. I understand. People probably do cry for sympathy. Like, I don't know. But now that we know that it's something to do with like me being autistic, my partner doesn't like get upset with me for having that. Doesn't just like, oh, you're, having a tantrum and leave. He can be there to support me, So it's really important, if anyone's like questioning themselves, to like just look into it more, because this has been the best thing to have happened to me. So I really wish everyone would be able to find that within themselves, just to feel understood with your own self.
It is important, and I'm glad you brought that up because there is a lot of people that do. There's a lot of positives. Like I said, that autism is a gift, but there is some things that are on the negative side of things. Like there is meltdowns and a lot of things like that. I've seen it with other people with autism, and I had some when I was younger, but like they're very valid, and I take a lot of awareness to that. Because just because it might not be the prettiest thing doesn't mean it's not important. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, when I was younger, this is probably like 4 years ago. I've gotten a lot better these past like 4 years, but I used to have a meltdown like when things would change my room or someone moved something. Like something big like a bed or something like that. I lost my shit. Like I don't even know what happened. I'm pretty patient, but I just lost it. And not a lot of people understood that. Nine people in my family, they were very, during these times of me kind of like my journey with autism, they were very supportive and loving as best they could be. But they didn't fully understood, and it was very difficult not really having people to talk to that really understand what I was going through. And this wasn't just me like acting out or anything like that.
Yeah, I could see that. Like if the family members didn't know why you were acting that way, they would see it as like, oh, you're being controlling, you're being bad, you're being this, and it's like that's not that hurts. And if it's a unconscious or a conscious like hurt, it does hurt you, and something that like you can't really control. And yes, in certain ways we can get better about certain things with our autism, but for someone like that you care about to like look down upon you for something that like you're like that isn't really your fault, it's rough, and it's it's nice that we're able to have people who like look into what autism is and are able to understand why we're doing what we're doing. And like bad behavior, I'm not saying what you did was bad behavior. I'm thinking more on myself, but like bad behavior that I have done that I know stems from my autism, I'm not saying is justified, but it's nice for my family and friends and partners to know where it stems from so that I can try to work on it, but like not get like shunned if I'm not able to like fix said thing.
Yeah, I agree, and we label things good or bad, but it really is what we're going through. It's not like we're intentionally like, hey, I'm going to go off and affect everyone in this room, but it just kind of happens. And we have the moment, if we have these moments, and for people that are autism, it's accelerated, than what neurotypicals go through, and it's really important to have that support because growing up, it was very hard because I didn't really have that support because not a lot of people understood me. Like, I felt like kind of like an alien. I was like, well, these guys have like they they live a completely normal life. Like, I wish I could do that, but I can't.
Yeah, no, I feel you about the alien thing. Uh, we were talking a little bit before this, and I said it I didn't realize that not everyone had to research like how to be a human. I felt my whole life that I wasn't a human, but that I was an alien dropped into a human body, and I'm sitting here and I'm just observing everyone, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what humans do. Okay, that's what humans do. Okay, that's how I'm gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And like that goes back to the masking and trying to like fit in because you know before like when you're a kid and you're a teenager, you really want to fit in. It's like it just like in your core, you just really want to fit in. It's not until you get a little older that you start realizing that like you don't have to fit in. It's okay to be you and to be whatever you truly are. And I'm glad that we have gotten to the point where we're able to not want to mask anymore and to like just be us. And it's a beautiful thing. I feel with autism, it's beautiful because I feel like when people get older, they, even if they aren't autistic, they do mask. They mask in the sense of like, oh, well, I'm supposed to conform. I'm 13 now. I'm a teenager. I don't play with dolls. Oh, I'm a big boy. I don't do that. And then you get older and you're like, oh, I don't, I'm an adult now. I don't go and play, and it's like, what? We're human and we should be able to just be happy and to dance and skip and do all this fun stuff. Why do we have to get boring when we become an adult? But I feel with autism, a lot of us, like, we keep our hobbies, we dress up however we want, we like do cosplays and we still play, and it's like that's a way happier life for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I would much rather still act like I'm a child and be 60 years old, and I don't want to ever lose that light. You see a kid and you see that light in their eye, and the world takes it away from us. And I just feel it's our job to hold that light tight and just, keep playing and having fun and living life and having hobbies. And don't let the world take you. Don't let corporate America, that rat race we're supposed to do, consume. Don't let it take you. Be free. Be you. Be weird. If someone judges you, I feel bad for them. If someone judges you, that's sad. I'm sorry that they're stuck in that way where they have to judge other people to feel good about themselves. Be you.
Yeah, it's ultimately what it is, like corporate America and society, they're like, okay, you growing up, this is what it is. Working probably like two jobs so you can have a family and much time for yourself, and it's kind of a cycle. And you don't go out to dance, you don't go out to like to be a kid, like have that like childlike curiosity or like painting. They're like, okay, that's a little strange, but you do you. But like, there's a lot of judgments that come with that. But like, we've lost that creativity. Like people like that are autistic, like Albert Einstein. he didn't think like, okay, this is it, man. Like I'm just gonna pay my bills. I'm just gonna be a scientist. This is just it. No, he's thinking outside the box. He had dreams that were so profound that it became like inventions that changed the world, and he would have these things if he would have let go of that childlike curiosity. Like you even see pictures of Albert Einstein, he sticks his tongue out, just being wild and crazy, and it's awesome to see. And I feel like all of us can be like that, even if you're not autistic. People that are autistic naturally always keep that, but we can. It's like a memory. If you let it go, it'll be a lot harder to get back. And a lot of people can get that, but it is going outside of social norms.
Yeah, we're like in this trap. We're like in this trap that it's a lot easier to follow the social norms. It's a lot easier to conform because that's the way that's been paved. It's easier to flow with that. But like, we don't have to do that. Like, autistic or not autistic, like, we truly can live any life that you want. And when we're kids, like, the cliche, oh, you could be anything you want. Like, people say it, but like, how many people really believe it? And as you get older, that like belief system, it gets like it's less, and I remember when I was a teenager, I've trained martial arts. I started when I was 9, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I've trained it for, I lost count of how many years on and off. But I remember in high school, I told, my family, oh, I want to have my own studio one day. And that's what I like wanted. I did all my projects that we had that year on it. Like, I truly, like, that was my belief. But since some of my family were from a different lifestyle, they kind of told me, no, don't do that. Like, you should be a nurse. You make a lot of money being a nurse. And like, you should do this. So it's like, for a moment, stopped like believing in myself and was like, oh, okay, I'll just go make money. And then, life happened and all that fun stuff. But still, like, it's like, here I am. And like, that is my goal in life, is I want to open a center. I'm getting trained right now with the Yoga Alliance to be a yoga instructor. And I want to open this center where I don't want to teach anyone anything. I want to create a place where I leave a space open where people can teach themselves. I ask the right questions for people to learn themselves of who they are and all that. A center, a community where people can come together, and instead of like, I've noticed a lot of yoga studios, or you come in, you do your yoga and you leave. That's it. But like, where's the community? It's like this rat race that we're in. It's like, it's so hard to like get out of it. It's so hard to, but if we had a community of people like us where we can all come together and just help each other grow, this, I know that, and we come together, we can create like a better world. And that's where I'm trying to go in my life. And, I'm finally getting to the spot where I've collected almost enough information to start to put that into like a vision and to do.
I love that, and I never thought about it like that. Because yoga is like, it's not just a workout. At the time I thought it just was. That's really connecting your body, the soul. But I believe we are the soul, so like our higher self, and it's connecting all that together. And some yoga might not work for you, so it's really finding what works for you. And I
Mhm.
love that, if you need guidance, you're there, but it's really about finding yoga that works for you and something that really resonates with you. And I think that is going to be a great thing for a lot of people, because we need more community. Instead of just, oh, this is it, this is a class, I'm done. I got a good workout in. It's like, no, like, we've lost the importance of community, and it's needed. And I'm hoping to eventually build an autism center where there's multiple teachers. There's people that teach meditation, yoga, and just help them really, like, people with autism, help them like gain the things that could really help them long term life, instead of like things that really like hold them back. Things that
That's wild. That's so wild that you have like the same dream, because it's like we're talking about like, oh, should we cure autism? Should we do this? Should we do that? And it's like, we're not broken. We're different. We're me and you and a lot of these other people. We're all cut from the same fabric. Like, and it's just right there. You just proved it. Me and you haven't known each other our whole life. We have the same exact goals, like in dreams. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, we came here for a purpose, and it's like I didn't realize that not everyone has that within them. I thought every person, I just assumed everyone was like me and had this like deep inner drive to help and to like connect and like to have this like meaningful like thing. I know before I came here, I planned out what my life was, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna help people. And it's like I didn't realize not everyone does that and has that, and that is not better or worse. People are allowed to just live and be happy. Like that is perfect. But it's wild that the people that have that are also autistic. Like, it just proves to me more and more that autism is a gift.
It is. And hearing stories like yours, and I had a guest here a couple of days ago. He had an amazing journey with broadcasting and how it was an outlet for him. And I just see more and more people that I talk to that are autistic, like how much gift they really have, and they're not getting the right support that they need. I think more we bring awarenesses and acceptance, I really believe things will change because the world is changing rapidly. And I think people with autism are going to be needed in the near future, especially if AI come into play. Because a lot of people don't want to talk about this because it's a scary concept. But 95 jobs 10 years from now, majority of them, if not all of them, are going to be gone. So I think people that are thinking outside the box or going to a bit of a higher level thinking, they're going to be needed.
Yeah, we definitely are. And people are so scared of that. And I understand, like, logistically why, but, like, I am ready. Like, I've said this before, but, like, it's going to get dark. It is. Everyone knows that. Everyone who's tuned in, we know it's going to get a lot darker before it gets light. But I'm ready to go through the ringer. I'm ready to go through that darkness for a possible chance for us to live in harmony with ourselves and with nature. And by those 9 to 5 jobs being gone, I truly believe is eventually it's going to open up the avenue for people to have the time to find themselves and to be able to find their purpose and to help the world. Because right now we don't have enough hands helping the world and fixing this world because people are at Menards or at Burger King or at they're doing all these things that they need to do to survive. And that's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Right now I'm working, with animals at like a pet rescue. We do what we got to do at times, but like, I truly believe like it's going to help. It's going to be for the better in the long run.
I think it's going to be a great thing and it's going to create a new era. Now, there's going to be, I'm not, if AI is created in the best way possible, I think it can change a lot of things. Like, unfortunately, most of the human nature has ruined a lot of things, with factories, the environment, the Gaia has suffered greatly because of that. And
Mm-hmm.
AI doesn't have a greed or it doesn't have an ego. So it's like, okay, what's best for Earth? What's statistically going to be the best outcome for this? Because they're not thinking about the money or anything like that. They're thinking what's better for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's gonna be important because a lot of people, like you mentioned, like a lot of people think about the money. And it's like there should be something more than just money. It's just possession. If you look at it, it's an exchange of energy. Because you're giving something to get that. And at the end of the day, you should really be doing what you love because that for what we know, this could be the only life we got, and any moment could be our last. So like working somewhere we're completely miserable at, and you're like, okay, this is life, and you're only looking forward towards the money, that's a very shallow life, and not
Mhm.
saying that person's shallow, but what they're holding on to is a shallow idealism. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, it's just cash. It should be something that comes more from the heart.
Yeah, there's a physical currency and then spiritual currency. Physical currency is when we say shallow. I don't think we're meaning what the normal person means. Like, oh, you're shallow. It's just here is the spectrum of life. Here is the deeper parts. Here is the more physical parts. Shallow is just closer to the physical. There's nothing. There's no good or bad. It just is. But
Mm.
the physical currency, that is what we have, our money and our nice car and all this stuff. And like, yeah, it's definitely cool to pull up in a nice car. I get it. It's cool when I was bartending, making hundreds of dollars a night, like more than I think I deserved, just serving people alcohol. That was cool. Like, I was physically doing great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had the nicest of things, and I've been homeless living in my car. And what is truly important is the spiritual currency. And that is what is going to move on with us in our next lifetime. And like, that's what's important. That's what we can hold on to. It's what good we've done for ourselves and for the people around us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's really important. Um, it's sad when all people have is their money. It's like, I would rather be living on the streets with the soul of someone who cares than living in a mansion watching people starve.
I agree, and it's the energy. Like for me, like when I'm not working right now because I wanted to find the right situation. Because the jobs I worked at, and I made excuses like, okay, I'm making money, I can do this, I can do that, but ultimately I was feeding into a lower frequency. Like I'm not serving other people, or I'm not really using that energy to put something to better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about the money. It has to be more than that. I'd rather be homeless than work somewhere that I'm just completely miserable at, and it's like, what's the point? What's the point of working, surviving if you have to work two jobs and you're not really living life? And I think being homeless is a better idea than that. And that's why I can't fully understand, when people go through that. I know we have obligations, but where I'm at right now, I think we're very disconnected from our heart.
Yeah, I like you truly have a gift, and we all only have so much life force. And if we are in a position where we are able to like not have to give our life force to a corporation that does not care about you, then don't do it. And you know what I'm saying? And like, cultivate yourself in the way that your gift is calling. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just keep putting all that life force and that energy into that gift, and or something you love or something that benefits you or the world or like anything. Like, as long as it is something that's benefiting you and you're happy with it, then it's not going to take as much of that life force. And you being in Florida, you really should look into kayak guiding or any type of like tour guiding, because it is a company, it is all that. But what you're doing is you're giving people a sense of like nature. And there's a place called Get Up and Go Kayaks. You should look into them. I think they're near you and they're always hiring. And I truly was happy doing something like that. Even though it wasn't completely like my life path, it still was feeding me in the ways that I needed. And it was making me happy to go to work every day and to put a smile on people's faces.
I love that, and yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Because for me, like, it's not that I don't want to work, but I want to find a place that has a higher frequency. Because I can always tell. Because I had a lot of, because I worked at restaurants for the past like 2.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and most of my managers are not. They weren't great. They weren't great. There's a time I was making like nine. I was making like 950, and that's like now looking back, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
under minimum wage in Florida, right? I think.
Yeah, that was that. When I got paid, that was back up north, like in Pennsylvania, in
Oh, yeah.
Gettysburg. Yeah, now when I went to Florida, it was the lowest I ever got was like 12.50. So it's definitely a lot higher.
It's funny that you said, oh, it's not that I don't want to work, because I'm over here and I'm like, I don't want to work. Like, and not in the, oh, I'm lazy, I don't want to work. I literally, like, I like, we were talking about past lives before, and it's like, I can't see my past lives, but I can feel like the past lives of the world. And most of like our times, like, we were doing things a little differently than what we are now. We were working less hours, and we were doing more like farming, and like, I truly wish that I could figure out a way just to go live in the woods and just farm and have my chickens and forage and just do that. Like that, I don't want to work. I have to. I want to do my purposes, but that wouldn't be considered work. But I do not want to work. I want to just live and share my knowledge and share my purposes and help people. And I trust in spirit, God, whatever we all call it, that I will be able to, once I get certified and I'm able to start to make financial gain from my purposes, I trust that the money will come. When we started traveling in the camper to Florida, I said, I'm tired of serving, because I was a waitress for a while. And I said, I know that serving, you can make really good money, especially the places I was working. But I'm going to trust in the divine that there's something more for me out there. And I'm going to just release a job that I know I can make a lot of money for, and just release and trust that the divine will put me in my path. And that's when the manatee guiding job popped up. And I said, I just trusted. I let go. And I just trusted that, like, when we hold on to something that we know is not good for us, or not good for us, but that is not fulfilling our higher purpose, such as me personally serving, which some people, it could be fulfilling their higher purpose. But when we let go of something that is giving us like a lot of financial gain, but it's not fulfilling our soul, and we say, hey, Spirit, I'm going to trust you and allow you to work in your ways, it happens. But when I'm holding on to this because I'm like, oh, well, I make a few $100s serving every night, like that's good money for around here. That's me telling Spirit or the divine that, hey, I don't really trust you that you're going to give me what I need. So I'm just going to try to figure it out myself. We got to let go and allow the world to like happen, even though we're afraid. Ralph Smart says everything that we want is behind fear. The world will discover itself once you let go of that fear and go past it. His exact quote is, the universe reveals itself to those who follow their hearts. So it's hard, but I know we can do it, and we're all worth it. We really are. We don't have to do anything we don't want to. If we try, like we can figure it out.
Yeah, and we can. It's that fear of like, oh, what's going to happen if I don't do this? If I don't work these two jobs, and it's like it's worth not doing that, because it's taking so much away from me that I'm losing life. I like to think, okay, if I work this job for like the next 10 years, and if I just die, at the end of that, I just die from a car accident or just like a heart attack or anything like that, I would have tons of regret. I'm like, why did I waste my life in it? And I think a lot of people don't really think of it in terms of end goal. They think of like right now. As far as like, okay, I got the cars, I got the money, but it doesn't really bring happiness, because like I look at rock star, like famous people that have money, but they were super depressed and were not happy. Like Lance Staley was a famous singer for Alice in Chains, and he killed himself. Ultimately, like he was taking drugs, and he was trying to fill a hole in his heart because the money couldn't do that. The money doesn't really help and it's realistic, like, oh, what do you do for a living? Like, what job do you have? I'm like, I don't. That's something I do to help what I really do, which is like helping people in the autism community.
Yeah.
So if you're asking about my career or you're asking about something that I do for the time being,
That's a weird thing that like seems to be like the main conversation point within like normal places, like bars and stuff like regular bars and like, oh, so what do you do for a living? And I was like, what about, hey, what are your dreams? What is your life purpose? What makes you happy? It's like, why like it's just like such a weird question that like, because most people don't really like what they're doing for a living. It's we're trapped in a weird society, but I'm glad that there are spaces like this where people can come together and have those deeper conversations. And so it's very needed. And I see, imagine when because imagine when people like us are like the elderly, you know what I'm saying? And like, not even just autistic people, but a lot of people are waking up and like, like the generation Z in general, a lot of them have the same mindset of like, why am I working this dead end job? Why am I doing this? What about when that generation like is in charge, or like the elderly? Like right now, we have more narrow-minded people who are in charge of the world and like running everything. But slowly, as everyone gets older, it's like we're gonna be the ones that are like making the shots. And like, what kind of world is that gonna be? Like, I hope for a really good one. I do have a lot of hope if we could just like get our like stuff together. I just feel that there are people like us, and there are people that are aware and awake and all this beautiful things and caring. But then there's just like, you see online all this hatred and all these people who are raised on technology and like have all this hatred in their heart, and like just want to like pin things against everyone. You know what I'm saying? You see all the hate on the internet, and it's like I just have hope that we as like a community and a society, and as these generations, can figure like it out, because like we have to, like no one's coming to save us. Like we are the ones that need to do something to save us, as individuals, every single one of us.
and the time is now. This is the time to really step up to the plate. Because there is a lot of things that are happening. Even the climate change. And the environment. Everything is getting heavily affected. So for us, like if we're looking for a time to step up, it's going to be now. And I do see a lot of changes. I'm not sure if you ever heard of the place, but the House in the Forest, it's in Brunswick. Like this is, it's hard to like really put into words, but this place is magical. Like they have cabins, and you have like there's people that come together during a campfire, we hold hands and say what we're grateful for before we eat our meal, and it's a really like community based place. And I'm like, man, we could use more places like these.
Yeah, and that's what we said when we're gonna create them. Um, and I feel before that, because obviously creation of a physical studio like that is it's gonna be financially, it's gonna cost a lot financially and such. I think retreats, like get-togethers and stuff like that, is what we can all do. My one friend, she runs, or she was running, but life happened, these monthly sober get-togethers, where it's like a sober flow jam where people dance and just come together, and like stuff like that is what we need. People coming together consciously and aware, and we all sit around the fireplace and we sit there, and she says, okay, let's burn a bad habit, and everyone goes in and says, hey, this month I want to burn my inconsistency. I always start something and I can never like finish it, and like this or that, and you can burn it and watch it burn away. And then the next person can talk. and they burn their bad habit, and it goes into a circle. And this little activity does so much. It allows the people that are a little more shy a moment to like speak, and a moment where they're able to speak about something that's meaningful to them. It builds deeper relationships. And I actually, before I have a studio, something that I'm wanting to get together. I'm not gonna say. I'll tell you the name later because it's a really cool name. I just don't want to take it yet. But I'm gonna create this thing at festivals, and it's gonna be basically that. I want to create a little area at a music event where people can come and do different activities that connect them. Like it could be simple things as games, like we could play like Duck Duck Goose, or we can do burning bad habits. But it's just like an area where people at an event, which a lot of times everyone's running this way, running that way, trying to do all this crazy stuff, can come together, sit down. We're going to be playing Philosophy Step in the background, which is like philosophy mixed with like dubstep. So like, nice music that has like Alan Watts. So people can, just sit there and like ponder life, and just like a little center where people can come together and truly get to know each other on a deeper level. Because I noticed that people communicate, but no one taught us how to communicate deeper. And no one taught us how to communicate in a deeper manner. So it's like, I feel like these type of like activities and games will give us a chance to just get to know strangers and our friends like on a deeper manner.
I love that, and I think we need more of those spaces of like, okay, like if this is overstimulating, you got a little area, you can have a little bit more of an intimate setting, and you can kind of wherever the flow goes, you can do that, and I think that's gonna be a great thing, because I know there's times where I was at somewhere, I was like, you know what, it'd be nice to like have somewhere that's a little bit more intimate and maybe more intentional.
Yeah, because like we go to these events and people are like, oh, they see electronic festivals or jam band festivals, and they think the worst. They do. They think, oh, it's just for that, and it's just for that. And like, yeah, there's definitely people that go there for more physical like means. You know what I'm saying? More like physical standard means like that. But when it comes down to it, the reason we're there is for community. We are lost as a society, and most of us don't have community. You know what I'm saying? People used to go to church, people still, but more people used to go to church, and that would give them a community. But as time's going on, a lot more people have different beliefs, and those people, they don't have a sense of community a lot of the times. We may have some friends, but like a larger sense of community. So these festivals are what we do have, and where we can all go together and have a similar idea of how we want to treat another, love another, and respect another. And it's all fun and games, but I truly think that we need somewhere where we can sit down and like discuss our ideas, because those are some of the people who are going to be able to change the world. You know what I'm saying? Like anyone can change the world, but I just know from my experience that people at these events are very deep thinkers. A lot of them are neurospicy and all that fun stuff. So I truly believe that having that area would do some good. So that is on my list, my never ending to-do list.
I love that, and I'm definitely I've been to a couple of festivals and events, and there's a lot of deep people there, and it's not always just one thing, a lot of it can be, but it's also about the community. It's not just about that, but it can lead to many other things, it's how you connect and meet people, and it's all about, it's like the main thing is just about community, and kind of getting outside your comfort zone, because our biggest addiction, I believe, is comfort. We're like, oh, why would we go outside our house? Like, why would we go to an event that we don't know anybody at? It's like, because that's when you most need to, especially when you're kind of stuck in a routine and you're kind of stale or static.
Yep, like a fish in a little fish bowl.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan had a person on their podcast recently about memories, and the person said that they found out what type of memories are the memories that people have the most that can like hold on to, and it's memories of things that we've never done before, which is going somewhere new, doing a new experience. It's usually the memories that we have of like us doing the same thing, like let's say scrolling on my phone. In 50 years, you're probably not going to remember the hours and hours that you just sat there scrolling on your phone. But you're going to remember going to that canyon that you've never seen before, that was a little farther than you wanted to drive, but you did it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, to have a meaningful like life where it's full of like good memories, we have to do things that we don't really want to. And there was a time 2 years ago where I realized this, and I said, you know what, like I'm gonna start doing the things that my mind says that I don't want to do, like not bad things obviously, but just like goofy things that like like when you're a kid and it's like, oh, I bet I can't climb that tree, and then you like climb it. As an adult, you'll be like, oh, I bet can't climb that tree, and then you'll be like, what if I get scraped up? And I remember it was during December, and I was driving past a really beautiful lake near my house at the time, and I said, I bet you won't jump in that lake right now. And I almost drove past it, and I said, you know what, like I'm going to push myself out of my comfort zone, because that's when you grow. So I went over there like a week before Christmas. I recorded it all. It's hilarious. And I jumped in that lake, and it was ridiculously cold. But what I learned from that is like, I can push myself. You don't need to like, if you're trying to get here, you don't need to just run there. Just little steps. Just keep pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, and eventually you'll get to where you want to get. And it's like, I just want people to realize that we are so powerful, and anything you want, you can achieve, but you have to work at it a little bit every single day or every few days, just little steps, like anything you want. You know what I'm saying? Like I told myself when I was a kid, I wanted to work with dolphins and like be in the ocean, and I was in Indiana. I couldn't achieve that, but here I am as an adult, and I didn't get to work with dolphins, but I got to swim with manatees and help people understand them so that they could get more funding, so that they could like be more protected. And it's like, I don't know, we really, really should just believe in ourselves.
Yeah, it's I agree. It's very important, and as a just as a whole, we kind of lost that, and I think it's important to kind of work our way back there. It's little things of like, like you look back like 100, 200 years ago, we didn't have cars. Like we literally had horses. We had to learn how to ride a horse as a young kid, and that's how we travel most of the time. Or we wouldn't be able to see our loved ones for months on end, and we had to go on a journey of like working or like getting to buy food and water. It was getting out of that comfort zone, and you didn't even know like if you're gonna make it back. And so now, like now as a society, we've gotten used to like, hey, I got comfort. Like I can watch movies at home. Why would I go out there when I don't need to? It's like because it's important. Like for example, like I had this moment. I was just scrolling my phone just for a moment, for a couple minutes. I was like, I don't remember anything I just looked at. Not even one thing.
Yeah. You're like, what am I doing? And you just like made me think of something, like put two dots together. That's what it is. We are too comfortable. There's a book by Christopher Ryan called Civilized to Death. And we're too comfortable. We're too used to anything like this. We got fast food. We got fast hookup culture through dating apps. You know what I'm saying? We have everything is just like, and it's like we don't earn anything anymore, or we do, but not like what we did. It's all just like it just comes to us. So we're not appreciative for anything. We don't, as a society, um, like appreciate our food as we used to, because you didn't raise that cow, you didn't grow that crop, you didn't do really much besides like just hand someone money and you're like, oh, thank you, and just eat it. It's like we've lost a lot of ourselves by having just this fast-paced world. And I think like this generation and the one like underneath us, I believe that they're starting to see that, like the generation that grew up with like technology just completely shoved in their face, like, I believe that they're starting to like see that, and they're gonna see that it's not a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's actually hurting us because we're not using it all like in a good manner. I've heard that like some people are starting to get like simple phones where it's just call and text. It's like, like a phone like this, but like you can't do anything else on it, because people are wanting to go back to a slower paced life. They're like, we've had that for generations, and out of nowhere, this little boy comes in, and now everything is just a lot more fast paced, but that's not what we've been like used to.
No, and and you look at even cell phones. If you like really stay present with how you're feeling, you'll notice after, like, let's say if you're on phone for like an hour or 2 hours, you'll start to notice, like, man, I feel like kind of uncomfortable. Like, I feel a lot of anxiety coming up. It's because we're keeping our brains always stimulated. They have no like downtime. And we every time we get bored, we have a second of like, okay, I don't really like where I'm at right now, and so we pull up our phone, like, okay, and we just keep our brain stimulated. It never has a break until literally you just go to sleep, and that's very like unhealthy for your brain and for your body overall.
You're right. You were talking about meditation, and like, what is meditation? It's the opposite of us being on our phones. Like, it's like we need that time to just be, to breathe, to just like be in this reality. And I myself have a huge addiction to technology, and that's why I voice so much about it, because like I see what it does to me. I i wish it didn't, and I am on a constant battle to not allow my technology to overtake me. And it's like, I know how bad technology is for us, since when we use it in not good manners. I know technology can be used for wonderful things, but I know that it's bad for me, and I still do it. So it's like, the people that don't even realize it's bad for them, like, how are they ever going to break the cycle if I can't even fully break the cycle? Because, it's such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing that we have to deal with, that our great grandparents never had to deal with. This is new territory, and it's like you said earlier, there should be a class that teaches people how to effectively use technology and to not allow it to overtake their life, you know?
100%. And you look at all the classes you go through in school, and it's like, what do you use the most? Like, what is going to be the most useful, and what is one thing we use on a daily basis, and on average, 7 hours a day? Our cell phones. And it's like, how can we use them in a better way, more of a constructive way? And we
Mm-hmm.
use it more for entertainment, things like that. And our brains associate, like, okay, this is for like not take our brains are not gonna take things seriously, so it associates with like, okay, this is relaxed time, this is like just lounging. And then you try to use it for business and work, and your brain's like, what is going on here? Like, what do you want me to do with this? Yeah, and it's like separating that and learn how to balance things out. This memory master I've been learning them from for the past couple of years, Jim Quick. He actually had a brain injury at a young age, from an injury he sustained in a classroom. And he spent many years having a lot of struggles, and later on really like, okay, what is learning? Like, what is true learning? And he really started studying about it and learning from different countries of like, how did they learn and how does this country learn? And really, how we've learned is not the correct way. It's the way that was best suited for workers, not for like long-term things that are really important that we use nowadays. A lot of things that are in schools are very outdated. So I think having classes that kind of teach you about how can you constructively use your cell phones in a productive way.
Mm, I wonder. It makes no sense to me why this isn't something that's going on already. We, it's that's what we need is a way for us to. I'm not saying we should grab our cell phones and our computers and throw them out the door. I just, I mean, I just wish that we like could figure out a way to use them more productively and like I see the damage that this does to people so much, including myself, that me personally, like if I had an option where right now all of our like phones and everything, I could just hit a button and just like turn it off. And I know everyone hate me, but I would hit that button. And I know I wouldn't be able to listen to my favorite podcast. And I know I wouldn't be able to know where the heck I'm going. But I truly believe like that life was more people were more happy and like it was a more meaningful experience when we didn't spend 7 hours staring at a stupid screen, it just makes me really upset that that is something that we have to like fight every day. And but we do need to figure out a better way to do it. And I think one way is the apps that we use need to not like be trained to be addictive. Like they are literally working with our brain chemistry to keep us on there so that they get more money. And I get it. They want money. But like is money really more important than the quality of life of humanity? I guess we're still in the era where it is. But like that shouldn't be there. They did studies on like TV shows and stuff. And have you seen the viral videos of like toddlers getting their tablets taken away? What do they do?
I actually haven't seen them. I don't spend too much time on TikTok because like as soon as I go into it, I'm like, whoa, 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 let's slow down a little bit.
Yeah, well, I don't think I've seen this on TikTok. I think I just seen it like somewhere on Facebook. But there's a lot of videos of toddlers and young kids getting their tablets taken away and screaming, tantrums, yelling. There was actually a case. I'm not going to say the right like stuff, but a child, I think it was like 9-ish, actually shot their parent when they got their, I think maybe it was a game taken away. It was some type of technology, but the shows that are given to kids nowadays, the way that they are made is literally like a substance to these kids. And it's just like, so like you said you open TikTok and you're like, oh, well, some people react differently. They see that and it's like a substance, like their body and brain gets addicted to it, where when you take it away, they have a meltdown. They have done studies where they see the old school TV, like from like the 90s and like the early 2000s. They found that if people show their kids that in comparison to the new like shows, that the meltdowns are less. And it's because our TV and our videos and everything now is designed to keep you watching. Back then they didn't do that. So it's like that's one of the steps. Like we need to like put our foot down and say, hey, like we need apps that are fun and engaging, but are not designed to just keep people watching. They also found out that they did studies with, I think it was TikTok. They put the account under 18. I don't remember the age. And they found out that they started watching like videos about like eating disorders and stuff like that. And The algorithm now, if you watch a sad video or something like that, it wants you to stay engaged. So it keeps showing you stuff like that. So the algorithm will, if you are watching something like depressing and like self-harm, it's going to just keep feeding that addiction, which is really unhealthy. They need to find ways for certain topics. If someone is going on there and they're liking a bunch of stuff about like self-harm and other, sad things that are like
Yeah.
detrimental to people, that the algorithm says, okay, we're going to switch it up and put positive things in their feed instead of just going with, oh, let's just put this person in a pity party and just get sad and more sad and more sad. Like the way that the apps are set up need to just be altered for the beneficial of human like happiness, and not for the beneficial of the people's money in their money in their pocket,
I never thought about it like that, but you're correct. I was watching this video. This is a time I was really like into One Piece. Still am to a point, but like at this particular episode, the main character loses his brother, and I lost my brother like 4 years ago, and I just like I felt like I just really deeply resonated with that video. And I was like, okay, I got to get away from this because it's, I can resonate with it, but on a lower frequency, and it really like it can be a bit depressing. And then it's like, okay, I'll show you some more. It's like, hey, I'm trying to get away from this, and and it could be months later, and they still show that, and it's like, okay, like let's get more positive stuff in there, and we talk about like suicide, and it's at a high number than it was compared to like the past 100 years, and it's insane. I think social media has a part in that, big part in it.
What has a
And
part in that?
I think social media and how they kind of like how they do that, like even comparison and like showing like not really for the people and more for like making the money and like not really about that person's well-being. Similar to like even eating. Like they put more chemicals in food and not really like really helping the people. And that unfortunately society is like built on cash and money and not really about like let's try to help these people. Even like yeah, one big thing is like the medical care. Like a lot of people that you go to the hospital once, it's like 10 grand. It's like, isn't this about helping people? Not really about making money through that. And it's just gotten disgustingly low quality. Not about the people.
Yeah. Two things. One about what you were saying, like you're right. When you go to the hospital, hey, can you get out of here? When you go to the hospital, they're not trying to like find the root of your issue. They're just trying to like cover up the symptoms. And it's like there's more financial gain in having someone stay sick than it is to like heal them. And I'm not saying people are or are not doing things consciously like in that manner, but like why are we doing that? Like I don't know why we're doing that. And you said earlier that you believe social media is one of the reasons we have higher suicide, and that is true because you go on Facebook, and what is that, or Instagram or whatever people are using, it is the best of someone's life. They're not on there most of the time saying all of the struggles. They're on there and they're like, look at me, I'm on a beach. Look at me, I'm doing this. And that's just like how it is. That's just like how people like normally are. So it's like we're comparing ourselves, which we know the struggles we've went through. We know that I woke up and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could pay my bills today, or oh, I woke up and my boyfriend just broke up with me, or whatever problems you're having. We know what we're going through, and then we see someone online and we're like assuming that, oh wow, look at them, they're living their best life on a beach, and you're comparing your worst with their best, and we will never be able to like meet there's no way for us to like meet those standards. So I try my best to be transparent online. I try to be vulnerable online, and I ever so often write what's really going on, the sad, the bad, the stuff that I'm dealing with mentally. Not because I'm wanting to just be like, oh, poor me, but I'm wanting other people to know when that I'm struggling. And even though you see me, when I was full-time traveling, you see me swimming with manatees or tropical fish and living my best life on a beach, that day I woke up and my car didn't start and I had to walk 2 miles in the 110-degree weather, and I almost had a mental breakdown while I did it, trying to like figure out life, so that you don't compare yourself with just my best. And I feel like if more people were vulnerable like that, but not in like a oh poor me way, then people would just feel better about themselves.
I and you hit it right on the nail. It's about like, and we naturally, and I think it's just human nature. We naturally go right to the good things. Like, hey, this is the beach is awesome. I just lost 20 pounds, which is great. But it's also you got to be real about. It's about being truthfully honest online too. Like, hey, I didn't lose. Like, I gained a little bit of weight, but I'm still making progressions and other aspects of my life, including working out. And it's also about like being, like you said, being honest and being open. And it's not a pity. It's not for pity or having a pity party, wherever you want to put it. It's about just being openly honest on all aspects of your life. That you're putting on social media. And I think if we're being more honest online, then I think things could like really shift in a positive way.
Yeah, I definitely I see that happening more and more. But like in general, even if people aren't like doing that, I think we as individuals need to just like stop ourselves from like comparing our lives with other people's. One of my good friends, she loves photography and she does amazing photos. Like she is living like her best life, and my one friend called me and I was upset that day. I think it was near the time I totaled my truck, and I was upset and I was telling them about that. And I was like, it feels like, me and all my good friends, like, I feel like we're all just struggling really hard. I was like, and I said to the person that called me, I was like, yeah, my one friend who's like, does the good photography online. I was like, they just had this type of accident happen and they're really struggling. And it's hard. I hate seeing the people I love, struggling. And that my friend, he was like, really? He's like, I just looked at both of your like pages, because me and that gentleman didn't talk for like a few weeks. He's like, I just looked at both your pages and I'm over here crying because I was like, dang, all my friends are doing so good and I'm back here struggling. And I was like, no, we're all on the struggle bus together. If we're going down, we're going down together. You can't judge anyone's life on what you see online.
Yeah, it's always assumptions that get to us. Like that is one thing I'm still learning to this day. Like I might assume something and it's completely the opposite. Like we assume people are like doing good, but in their personal life there might be something going on that's affecting them, and they don't really know. Not many people are going to know about it because you're seeing all the positive things. And it's not. You don't always have to be open online, but as we can be more aware and not make assumptions or judgments of like, hey, like, or comparing ourselves to them, like, oh, they're living their best life, man. Like, let's not forget we're all human and we all have moments of like down moments, like happiness, like, and this might be taken the wrong way, but happiness isn't completely real. It's more about being peaceful, because happiness is defined as like a feeling you have, like a moment of a feeling. You can't have that moment of feeling 24/7. It's just not possible. But you can be in a state of peace, through meditation and just for being present with yourself, And since I've been getting away from I just want to be happy, but like I want to be more peaceful and be in a state of peace. And that has like I used to have a lot of anxiety and I had depression for a time, and I don't feel any of these anymore.
I like that. What is it called? It's like the fake positivity. Like there's like this thing out there that I notice when people are starting their spiritual like journey, where you think it's all just love and light. I went through it, and I see a lot of other people who are in the start of like their journey who have this, and oh, everything's peace, good vibes only, and it's like it's this toxic positivity, and that's not obtainable. Like, yes, you should be respectful at all times, but you should not be positive at all times. And if you are, then you're gonna have a rude awakening because something's gonna happen, And what I noticed with my journey is I remember going through like the beginning stages of my spiritual practice, and I was that person. I was like, "Ooh, positive. I don't know understand how people could be sad. Life's so great." Like all these weird things. And well, that gave the universe a signal that it was time for me to understand why people could be so sad. And I went through the dark night of the soul, which is a stage of alchemy. And I was humbled really quickly. I in that stage of alchemy, it some people may be going through it, so I'll describe it a little bit, but it's a time in your life where everything is going wrong. Um, a lot of people, this happens after the positive part of like spirituality. You go from like up here to literally the darkest that you've ever been. You could lose everything. You could lose your home, your partner, your friend. Like you could lose everything, and the universe or God or whatever you call it will take everything away from you and will shove you into the dirt, and you will feel completely alone. God or spirit will stop even communicating to you. That connection that you had with source it won't be there anymore. You'll lose your faith. You'll lose your faith in everything, your faith in yourself, your faith in like God. And it happens like that to show you that you don't need anyone to get out of that, to grow yourself out of the dirt. That it pushes you to that point where you realize that you are the only one that you need, and that no one's going to be there for you, and that it's time to take all the lessons that you've learned in your life and to actually put them into the physical. They say that knowledge is learning things and wisdom is utilizing them in your life. And during that time, you have to utilize the knowledge that you've been collecting and all the things you've learned about like being a good, strong person. You have to use that to get yourself out of that hole. And once you do that, you finally shoot yourself all the way up and you see the light again. And a lot of times you'll go back down. And it's like a bow and arrow. You go back down, you gather your information, and you get yourself back together, and you just keep shooting your energy till you get back to the other side. And then you come out a much stronger person. And it's a huge test that a lot of spiritual people will have to go through in their life.
I love that. And there's a lot of tests that comes with spirituality. It's just not just like a smooth whole way. There's times where like I got kind of spiritual ego. Like I started to think like, oh yeah, I know more than this person because I've done all these things. And it was because I got like I was seeing for the first time because I was making massive action in my life, but I got arrogant and I was now being fulfilling only to myself. Being self fulfilling, and it brought me down after a while because like after I hit all my major goals, I'm like I still feel empty. I'm like, why do I still feel this way? Like I did what I wanted to do, but I still feel empty. And then I went back. I was brought down to reality very quickly, and I gained some of the weight back, and I was very depressed. I was working I was working at a restaurant job being a cook, and that's like a high stressful job. So I was just like in a rut, and I was starting to drink a lot back then. And it wasn't until really I moved to Florida and getting out of that environment that I was able to like really like look at where I was and like, okay, this is not the way I want to be. I want to be in a place where I can really help other people, and not just myself.
I'm
It's
glad
important.
that you found that. Not everyone gets to find that within themselves.
Not everyone does, and I'm grateful that I did, and then take years to really get there. Um, I was grateful to hit rock bottom because sometimes you need that, to wake yourself up because sometimes we can get stuck in our own minds and like in judgment and things like that. And being in Florida and being part of communities, it's changed my life. The people I've met are like family to me, or they are family to me,
Yeah.
and it's just I think it's important for everyone to have.
Um, it is crazy because like no one wants to hit rock bottom, but like you see where it takes us. I know I was talking a little down about like my upbringing, but that was just because we had a few moments. Beyond like the schooling and like the autism, my family raised me perfectly. I never had to stress about food. I never had to stress about money. We lived in a beautiful house, like everything. They gave me everything that they never had. And because of that, I didn't appreciate it. My my family, their parents came from nothing, so they weren't given much. So it was their life like goal to make sure that we never had to like stress. But by them doing that, they I think, coddled us to the point where we were never taught how to do anything for ourselves. So as a teenager, when I like got kicked out at 18, I remember my mom still cut my steak. Like, she just did. Like, she just did all our laundry. She did everything for us. She wanted to make sure we had a good life. And I love her for that. I appreciate her for that. But because of all that, I didn't know what the real world was. And I didn't know how to like take care of myself. And I didn't appreciate having food in the pantry, opening the fridge and food being there, having a beautiful yard and a safe community that I could leave the doors unlocked. I didn't appreciate any of that until I got kicked out at 18 and ended up moving to a low poverty area where sometimes you hear gunshots and you're like, and I needed that. I needed to be humbled. And like, we all need to hit rock bottom. No one wants to be there, but what you learn from that spot is what makes a strong person. And I wouldn't change my past. I wouldn't change any of it because I don't want to be the person that I was who didn't understand the real world, that didn't care, that had everything in the world and still was sad. Like it makes you appreciate life.
Those times are as important as the good ones, and like you said, it was a very important piece of your life to understand that and to experience that. And it was hard and scary in the beginning, in that moment, but ultimately at the end, it really helped you grow as a person and as a soul. And those times I think are important for everyone to go through. It doesn't have to be as severe as like, for example, for me, like 4 years ago, which really was a turning point for me. It took me to a point where I was like very suicidal and like life and death. And what really sprung like that decision up for me was like after my brother died, I was like, you're just gonna completely destroy me, or I gotta find a different way to live. And it shouldn't have to be that way. It shouldn't have to like take you to the point where you're not even sure if you have a place in this world.
Yeah.
And I think bring awareness of that and helping understand these things are important to go through, but not to the point where you feel you feel worthless.
Yeah, it shouldn't have to. I, I do at times wish that it wasn't, and wish we were just in La La Land, just like living our best lives. I do, but we're on Earth, and this is what we signed up for, unfortunately. And um, I feel that I try my best to appreciate each moment, and it's really hard at times, especially when everything like goes wrong. But this is what we have, and what do they say? Suffering is the non-acceptance of what is, and I don't want to accept a lot of things in this world, but I also don't want to suffer. So it's
Yeah,
like we have to figure out our what is more important, to us. Is it our peace, or is it what our ideals of what we want the world to be? And
yeah,
it's going to be a never-ending battle, and it's going to just keep getting harder as our bodies age and the people we love start to pass on, and like sooner and sooner. And it's going to be rough. It is. This Earth is a very dense planet, but when it's all over, I'm glad that I came. What do they say? It's would you rather have loved and lost than to never loved at all? And I
yeah.
I choose to love and lost, because this world is horrific, but it's also the most beautiful place. So it's like we just have to be here, and none of us have the answers, but we have each other, and we need community, and just to hold on to the beauty that we do have. And anytime we see someone that we can help them out, and just do what we can to make this into the best place that we can, you know?
And that's what it's about, because I do believe in past lives. Not everyone's going to agree with me on this, but I believe death is just a rebirth. And it's important this life is important. It's important to treat it as like the only life you might have. But also, I believe deeply that we go to another life, or we might extend to another life, like a higher level, maybe. I don't know, maybe like an alien next life, but who knows? But I believe death is just a new beginning. You're just not going to be in this body. Your body might die, but you're not really gone because you're a soul.
Yeah. I think for people who believe they are the body, that will be hard for them to understand. But for people who realize that we are the soul inside the body, it makes more sense. But we're coming up on 2 hours. But before we go, do you want to hear what I believe about what you just said?
I would love to.
It's a little off, and a lot of people might not agree with it, but it resonated to me when I was told this, and it might resonate to some people. So we'll say this, and then we should definitely do another podcast soon, because obviously we have a lot to say. But so I believe we are part of God, or source, divine. Every time I say that, I say all of them, just because I don't want a simple little word to stop anyone from listening to what I have to say. If I say God, then the people who are like, oh, I don't believe in God, I believe in spirit, they're going to be like, ugh. Or if I say spirit, the people who believe in God, they're going to be like, ugh. So it's like, I will say all of it because I believe it's all the same, but everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. But I believe that we are all part of source. We are we are source. And I believe Earth was created, and there were all the animals and the humans all doing everything. And I believe at one point, we as source wanted to take a break from being completely powerful, because we've been powerful for so long. We wanted something different. So we decided to inhabit Earth. And when you inhabit a lower frequency planet, such as Earth, you can't just do that as a soul, because souls, we are souls. A soul is like the ocean. The ocean, we're one little drop of water in this big ocean. So we can't just inhabit like Earth without putting our frequency lower, because we're such high frequency beings. So we had to inhabit a lower frequency body, which is the human body. And a way that I believe this is true is because we have our body, we have the human body, which has like the mind, and then we also have the soul. And think about this. Have you ever had two thoughts in your brain that were not aligning with each other? Like one of the thoughts said, "Hey, you should like me. Hey, you should eat that cheese." And my soul's like, "Hey, you're lactose intolerant. I know I shouldn't eat the cheese." This is just a super dumb example, but I'm trying to help explain it.
Yeah.
We have parts of our bodies that don't align with each other. That's because we have the human mind, but we also have the soul. So I believe we as souls inhabited a human body, which is a lower frequency being. So that's why sometimes we have these animalistic thoughts. I've had bad thoughts. I've had very judgmental thoughts in my life. I've had thoughts that I was like, where did that come from? That's an awful thought. Like, it was like not a good thought. And a lot of people, if they don't realize that they're the soul in the body and think they are just the body, they'll hear a mean thought about someone, and they'll believe it. Example that I remember was one of the first times I realized that this was a true statement, was I saw a woman with a green wig on. And my mind said, ew, why would she ever wear that wig? She looks ugly. And I stopped myself, because back in the day, I would have been like, yeah, I hear a thought in my brain. That is me. And I would have just been like, yeah, she's ugly or whatever, when I was much, much more egotistical. But I stopped myself and I said, I didn't think that. And I spoke to my other half, which I don't care if people think's crazy, because if you don't speak to your other half, it's a lot harder to connect to yourself and to be at peace. And I said, hey, that is a really mean thought. If she feels beautiful in what she's wearing, you should let her wear that, and she should love it. So back to what I was saying, I believe that humans came down, or souls came down to Earth and to inhabit and to experience the physical pleasures of life. And we broke a universal law by doing that. We have free will and can break any laws that we want. But when you break universal laws, what happens? There is consequences. So we were supposed to come to Earth and just experience life and then go back to where we were, which is just being, in the vast, like life of outside of like this dimension. And people didn't do that. So they just started to inhabit another human body, which is reincarnation, and they inhabited another human body. Well, because they broke a universal law, what happens to them each time they do that is they lose a little bit of consciousness, a little bit of awareness of who we are, which is the souls. And this kept happening to the point where humans forgot that they were souls and forgot that they could go back to source. And now humans are where we are, killing our world, just demolishing everything, just like toddlers with like guns and bombs. And we're not doing so well as a society because of that. We think we're the physical. Then there comes people like me and you and a lot of other people that are listening. If you're attracted to what we're speaking about, you're more than likely one of us. But there were people that came later on to try to save everyone else. So those people came a few generations after. So those people have lived less lives, which means that we have incarnated less, which means we have lost less of our consciousness. So that's why we are able to think and speak as we are. Jesus was one of these souls that was dropped into a body as like a fresh soul. Buddha, there's a bunch of spiritual leaders, Ram Dass, those are all pure souls. So as we get on earth, we become just dirty with all this gunk around us. But some of us have less gunk on us and are able to speak the word and be able to think deeper about certain things. And we came here with the purpose to help everyone, including ourselves, to find themselves again. And that's why me and you have this deep inner like feeling that, hey, we're here to help. May sound crazy, but someone taught that to me many years ago, and it resonates deeply to me.
I had to feel that for a minute. That was beautiful. I love that, and I just love hearing different talks like that because you always get a new perspective each time, and it's always something that you don't. Oh, wow! I never really thought about it like that, and it's all like in the possibilities. Why I love spirituality. Like it's
Yeah,
unlimited, you know.
there's
And you
so
told me
many.
that was I love talks like these. You know, I really enjoy them. I go to this temple and I just like I was telling you earlier, I got out of this class. It was called the Course of Miracles, and I had a lot of family things come up recently, and that class really helped me get a good perspective and go from source of love instead of like judgment and going from my ego, which is like from the past. You know, my judgments from the past, and come from a source of light and was able to handle that situation a lot better than I would have before that class. So these talks are always like very helpful.
Yeah, we're all just trying to find ourselves, you know. We're all the same, and that's what people need to know is we're like think of the person you look up to most and you are the same as them. That person just has in this lifetime or previous done more work to shine themselves and to get all that gunk off of us. Our goal is to get ourselves out of the way so that universal consciousness, love, and light can shine through because that's what we are. We are just love, light. We are just universal, like we're source, but we have this big blanket of just earth and traumas that's around us. So it's all we got to do is just keep working on ourselves and shining ourselves. And, we are as special as every other person in the world. We're all the same.
And that's what, and I believe that too. I believe we're all one, and we all live like, and there is some separation. And I had a moment like, hey, I'm not really American. I think of myself more of an Earthman. Like I don't associate with just one country. Like I just because I everyone is my brother and sister. Like I truly believe that, and we're all one, and we're all connected. So there's a lot of things that can bring that, and it's more like what I learned through that was like I have appreciation for the freedoms I have here. Um, but I believe like the separations of like hating someone, oh, they're from China, like fuck them. It's like no, like we're all like connected and we're all one, and if we hurt that person, we're only hurting ourselves.
I'm glad that we are finding that, and with new technologies that like the Galaxy earbud can translate languages instantaneously in your ear. With those technologies, I think we will start to see every person as a brother and a sister. And I think a small goal that we should all make is to see each person we meet as some like a friend, and at like the Kava Lounge that you visit, and at festivals, that's how people are. You're walking, let's say you're just walking to the porta potty, some other person's walking that way. For that 30 seconds, you don't even know that person, but oh, so how was your day? Like everyone just communicates like they're friends, like their family. And in like normal life, I'll walk down downtown Chicago. I'll be walking 10 blocks next to someone, and they will not say a word to me. And if I say something to them, they give me a weird look sometimes. It's something that needs to be normalized, that we don't need to have these bubbles around us. We
Yeah.
need to take the walls down and to see every person as someone that we know, like a friend, like a family. We are one human race, and when we see each other as that, you're right, that's when we will be able to like do some better for ourselves.
Like, and that was I love those talks, or specifically this, because it's something that I really been pondering on. And eventually, like, I used to, when I was younger, I was like, world peace would be amazing, but really it comes to if we all work together or not. Because it takes more than just one person.
It does take us all, and we don't even need to say, oh, I want world peace, but I want a more peaceful world. Let's we could take little steps. Let's just try to make the world a little more peaceful every single day. And that's every single one of us need to, like little things. Just go out of your way for one person every week. Do one thing for someone. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's, simple, it can be simple things, holding a door for someone like that you normally wouldn't hold a door for. Like if we just do little acts of kindness, we really could influence people. Or you never know what someone is going through. So be as nice as you possibly can. I'm not saying be nice to everyone. I'm saying be as nice as you are able to. Because some days you don't have energy to be nice to people. And those days it's okay. Treat yourself. But be as nice as you can to everyone that comes in your way, because sometimes your smile could make someone's day. Before we go, one last thing. There was a guy that he used to come into these restaurants, and this girl was talking about how the restaurant's policy is every time someone walks in, greet them with a smile and ask them how they're doing. And she said, that's just what we did. And the gentleman would come in every day, an older gentleman. And one day he said, you know why I love coming here? And she said, why? He said, because you're the only people in my life that smile at me. You don't know if people are lonely. You don't know if they have any friends or any family, if they're having bad thoughts about life. You don't know if they just lost, their uncle. You don't know what someone's going through. If you can't give money or anything, you can give a smile. You can give a head bob. You can acknowledge someone's presence. It's like we never know what our impact is on someone. So it's like we should try to impact them in a positive way if you're able to.
I love that, and that's a perfect message to end with this. Just being not assuming, but like just giving that love to everybody. And I just want to thank you for coming on. Like I really enjoyed our conversation and like hearing about your journey, and it was amazing. I'm really
Yeah.
just looking to it.
Thank you for inspiring me. I definitely am. It is my time now. I'm gonna start doing podcasts and start to put out all the information that I've been collecting and everything that I have. I was waiting, so I I was waiting to get everything, and I finally have it. I have not everything, it's a circle. We're gonna keep going around, but I got so much good footage on my trip for the last year, beautiful footage, and I have the knowledge that I've been. So now I can put the footage and the knowledge together. I made a account on TikTok called Nature's Wisdom, and I'm going to have beautiful videos of nature sharing all the things that I have learned on my journey and all the things that I learn in my readings. And it's time. So thank you so much for giving me that last little kick to get me going. Today was very very meaningful to me. And I appreciate you for doing what you're doing for the community, for the world, and for yourself. And please don't ever stop.
I'm grateful to have been. This has been a place where you can kind of speak your mind, and I'm glad I could be inspiration. This is why I do what I do because I want to help this community and people that are looking for someone to look up to or someone to like learn from. Like, oh, he does it, I so can I. You know, because we're all together in this, and I'm grateful to
Mm.
have create a space for you to speak on this and your journey. You know, and I'm just grateful to have a place for you to speak to.
Well, don't be a stranger. Definitely not, because this was a fun conversation. Even if we weren't recording it, it was a fun conversation. We talked for like 40 minutes even before it started, just like talking about life. So anytime you want to hit me up, I like calls. I don't like texting. So
Oh, I got you. Yeah, texting can be a little rough because you can't really, it's not much communication there.
no, I'm just like, how are you? Good. I'm great too.
Yeah, and you try to get details out, like, hey, so what did you do specifically? Because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but definitely hit me up anytime. And thank you once again. And I hope everyone has a beautiful night.
much love to you all,
Much
and
love.
thank you.